Welcome back to Naval Action, and I thought today we might have a little look at the French first-rate L'Océan. This is one of the biggest ships, probably the longest ship in the game at 55 meters in length. She's absolutely gorgeous. Just have a look at that. Let me just shut down a few windows here. Okay, she's absolutely gorgeous. She's a hulk of a ship, carrying the most crew on the game, and I think she's by far the prettiest first rate. This is the default colour scheme, but you'll see just at the front here she's got this sort of tapered nose look. She's also, as the French like to have, got a bizarre figurehead, so I think this is some god of the sea. Whoa. Premature evacuation of cannons, some god of the sea, could be Poseidon, someone like that. Chucking a bucket of bilge or slops over the side. No, he's filling the seas, filling the ocean is what he's doing. Now, she was born during the French Revolution and ordered in the 1780s. She was launched in the 1790s. Now, because the French Revolution, there were heady days and crazy things were afoot, she was actually renamed 4 or 5 times over the first 5 years of her life. She started off as the Côte d'Or, she was then the Montagne, the Pupil, and eventually she became known as the Ocean or L'Ocean. She's not the L'Ocean, because that would be the Ocean, and many French people get grumpy monkeys if we call her the Ocean. What are we up against? We're up against a Santi. And I guess her early engagements, or her main engagements, both of them really she didn't fare too well in, and that was more due to sort of poor organisation and to some extent poor captaincy than anything else. She was involved in what was known as the glorious 1st of June, and in that battle she took an absolute shellacking. She came home with 230 cannon shots on one of her sides and lost a third of her crew. And if she'd have been approached by the British, she would have struck colours, but got out of that one, as did all the ships, more or less managed to get to escape. And although they were then stuck in port for a while, they were blockaded in port, she kept her colours. Now let's give this Santi a bit of a tickle. Look at that broadside go off, isn't that just magnificent? And there's 50 cannonballs that Santi was probably not keen on sharing, and rather oddly enough chose not to shoot me back. I think probably because they were admiring the splendour of this ship, because the Santi, let's be honest, kind of looks like an upside down barn. You know, I love the Victory, but that's just a bit like a mother loves the red-headed child. This ship, it wouldn't look. That wouldn't go amiss right now outside of Saint-Tropez as some sort of holiday ship. This Santi captain's absolutely drunk, by the way. Now, the next big battle she was involved in was one of the Battle of Basque, and this was I think it was Cochrane was leading the British fleet. By this time she had been the flagship of the main French admiral of the day, but this time the Brits came in with an obscure approach. So it was Cochrane who was commanding the British fleet, and he ordered the British fleet to stern rake all of the French ships. Now the British fleet got completely confused by this. Much of it went amiss, Wow. Much of it went to miss. Oh, random fire mode. What is going on, Jeheil? There you go. I was playing with that earlier. However, in the ensuing madness, all bar two of the French ships ended up... Here you go. We'll go through the wind now. Let's practice going through the wind. All bar two of the ships ended up grounded. The Leosin wasn't grounded. However, she was taking on a tremendous amount of water. Now, Gambler, who was the vice admiral who was prosecuting the battle, had ample opportunity to capture a whole bunch of French ships, including the Leosin. However, he chose not to prosecute. This guy is drunk. This is like, it's Christmas. It's near Christmas. So I think the AI has been on the terps a little bit, says me, as I shoot over the top. But you see there, she went through the wind easy enough. Never dropped, well, she just dropped below pulling speed as we've come out of the turn. But barely. And this is a port battle build, this fella. This is planking and all sorts of horrors. So it's not exactly the fastest ocean one can have, live oak and extra planking and hull bonuses. And a lot of captains in the port battles, they really like taking this ship in. Oh, there you go, he's finally landed a few shots. They like taking this ship in because it's so tanky. Sadly though, although she got out of that battle terribly beaten up and taken on almost her bottom deck completely underwater, she really spent the rest of her service doing little more than escorting grain ships around, which seems an awful waste of such a magnificent ship. As we make mincemeat of this Santee. I'm just sitting depowered because for some reason the Santee's slower than even normal. There we go. Now the Santee's doing a bit of damage back. They've woken up. And sadly, 50 years after her second sort of most prestigious engagement, she was converted into a floating battery. I can't believe what they did to some of these ships. She was converted into a floating battery only in 1865 to be torn to pieces and fully wrecked, which again is just appalling, isn't it? See, the Santee hides your reticule. Now, how does she compare to the other primary line ships in the game? Well, first thing to note is she has the maximum number of crew a ship can carry. She carries 1,100 crew, which is your full complement of crew. So this is a ship where you really need to look at taking your medkits, because if you do lose crew, and you will, I mean, I've lost 20 not getting shot very well by this crazy bonkers Saul Tat, Spanish captain. You really do need to have those medkits ready. Wow, that's pretty much everyone hit there. So that you can respond as you come out of the battle, you can respond and replenish your crew. Otherwise, you'll be undersailing her, and then you'll be a target. Now, because she carries 1,100 crew, it does make her a great capping ship because no one else runs with as many crew. So it's 50 more than the Santee, which means AI won't even try and cap you. And it's 250 more than the Vic. So, I mean, that is absolutely huge. If the Defender perk was still around, that alone would defeat the perk. Broadside-wise, so we're not talking DPS, we're just talking raw broadside. She's got about 5% more, both with longs or with carronades, than the Vic. Although she's got about 10% less than the Santee, which is the bully of the game when it comes to sheer DPS. I mean, the Santee with carronades actually runs about 25% more than the Ocean, but no one would run a carronade first rate for port battles and the likes. Probably one of the areas she excels is her hull armour, the HP. Not the thickness. The thickness of all the first rates is pretty much the same now. But her HP, she has the most HP in the game. the most health in the game, so she comes in at 1200, whereas her contemporaries come in at around 11.5 and 11.6. So sorry, 12,000. Now that's important because if you add in anything like live oak or extra planking, then it basically means that, and then if you use things like carpenter teams or the expert carpenter perk, they all exaggerate the percentage of damage you can recover, and as such it means that she will regenerate more health than the other ships. Now the other thing is, not only does she look beautiful, but she's functionally beautiful too. If you look there, if I'm right on the front of the ship, look how wonderfully curved she is. And that means a lot of shots are going to bounce. You saw one there bounce right off the bottom of my ship. And none of the other first rates have this. I mean, the Santee is a box. It's a horrible sort of set of dynamics. And the Victory, although she's not as nasty as the Santee, the Victory, although she's not as nasty as the Santee, doesn't have this curve, almost like the Belle Poule, this sort of onion shape or pear shape to the hull, which really does lead to her bouncing a lot of shots. You'll see if I just stay like this, you'll just see a lot of shots bounce because they're hitting the angled part of the hull. So even though I'm staying flush with the Santee, I'm staying... she's getting bounces because things are hitting the curved parts of my hull. Speed-wise, she's sort of a little bit quicker than the Vic in theory, and a little bit slower than the Santee in theory. But these are fractions; these are hundredths of a knot. My experience is that she's a harder ship to sail than the Vic. Her turning and de-acceleration, because she's so massive. And when I say massive, I mean massive using like the physics term massive. Her turning's pretty horrible, and her de-acceleration, she turns about the same speed as the island of Great Corn, and she just doesn't de-accelerate. Here we go, let's do a fancy pants double broadside to finish this baby off. Wow, look at this. That poor old Santee is in a lot of grief now. She is, like I say, pretty slow. You're not going to run around chasing. What she does have that's nice is she has 4 chasers on the front and 4 off the back. So that's pretty good for wrecking sails in either, whether or not you're the hunted or the hunter. Hunted or the hunter. So a lot of people really prefer her as the port battle brawler, just because her curved armour and her extra health means if you're into the brawling, this could well be your ship. I'm not quite sure. I mean, look at the stern rate you get on this. You'd absolutely... Look at those beautiful... Look at the state windows across the back of this thing. Looks like the Crystal Palace. Look at that. It's like a cruise ship. It's like a modern 19th century cruise ship. Some other interesting things is with her loadout. Although she has very similar loadout as far as cannons are concerned, she has basically across the decks, both the ships pretty much match themselves, except she only has the 9-pounders across the top, whereas some of the others have 12. The Santee has like 2 extra bottom deck guns and then 4 guns extra across the middle decks. The Ocean has a couple of extra guns than the Vic does across all of the decks, really. But she also has this oddball 36-pound long that you can take for her. And I have to be honest, I don't really know why you would. It's lighter, so perhaps it gives you a little bit more speed. It has fraction 1 second off 70 seconds, quicker reload time. But it has less penetration. It does slightly less damage than the regular 42-pounders you can pack. I've not used this in a port battle that mattered, if that makes sense. So the only time I use this ship is when I'm in a port battle where we're having more fun than we are desperate to hold or desperate to win, because I'll take the victories because I personally prefer the manoeuvrability. And you give up a lot of manoeuvrability with these ships, and the de-acceleration. But what you don't give away is the beauty. It is absolutely a gorgeous bit of work. Her sails seem so tall. She really is. I mean, the term skyscraper was born from these tall ships. And if you think, you know, a ship like this coming into New York just after it had been founded, her decks would be higher than any building in New York at the time. I think there was one building that was taller than the tall ships of the day. But with her masts and sails fully erect, they're taller than anything that we'd built on land, these beasts. And it's actually where the term skyscraper, and in this horrible wind, you can see the flags furling away there, that she really is scraping the sky. I think I might be sailing just off the coast of Manchester looking at this. Now, unfortunately, the blueprint is one of the blueprints that at the moment you can't get hold of other than through a lucky drop in the PvP events. So you need to find someone who'll craft one for you, and see if you can borrow one. She uses a lot of materials, but I think she's worth it. She's just gorgeous. I hope that the new port battle mechanics means this ship is still going to be viable, and that the lack of speed and manoeuvrability. If this ship gets her sails taken out early on in a battle, if you get these things down to say 70% sails, they will top speed at about 6.5 knots, which means they're in danger every time they go through the wind of stalling. Oh, look, my cannons. Have my cannons been taken out of the back? Look at that. Pesky Spaniards. Eh? Biffed up my cannons. Or they seem to have some sort of gimballing. They've got gimbaled cannons. Is that the same on the other side? I've never noticed that before. Oh, there you go. Yes, it is. They have a little bit of a white thing, a white tapering around them at the back. Anyhow, that's my look at this ship. Look at the scale of her. Actually, before I finish, this is one of the ships that I honestly think requires the fire as you bear. She's 55 metres in length, which means at 10 knots, and you're dreaming in a port battle to be doing 10 knots, she'll take the best part of 11 seconds to pass the focal point that she's targeting. So think about that. That basically means that 11 seconds to fire your broadside off to the target here. Now, you won't pass anything at that speed. So they really do need the fire as you bear type option for these ships. Let's just, if you have a look at how long it takes, if you imagine you're focused here, and I'm only doing 1 knot, but it takes forever. If you were stern raking, it takes forever to pass. So basically the cannons from the outside right and left of your broadside are just going to kill air either side of your target. But anyway, there she is, Lothian. Absolutely gorgeous bit of engineering. The king of the brawlers right now when it comes to first rates. Probably a little bit of a liability with her speed. Like I say, tactically, knock the sails off this thing, and she's in trouble. She's almost combat ineffective at 65 to 75% sails, because she'll just get trapped in the wind. And with her de-acceleration and acceleration, it takes an awfully long time to get out of that situation. I hope you enjoyed my look at Lothian. I'd still give one a sail if you get a chance. I will see you on the oceans, and I will catch you.